you've been on this back to back to back to back, like kind of job after job kind of experience. Like, is it true, or did you have any break in between to?
It has been a little bit like that. But I guess that's the way things evolve, really. I mean, I guess things come out sometimes at a similar time when you might have not done them all together at once. I've been writing in my office for quite a while, which has been a nice change of pace. But yeah, it has been a bit of a domino effect.
Has it been interesting to see this year kind of progress? Because, we've seen you in Star Trek now, and then we know you did Tintin, and then you're doing another film of your, like, I don't know, can you stand back and be like, wow, this has been an interesting year?
Absolutely, yeah. I never lose sight of how cool it all is, and what a joy it is to work with, the likes of Steven Spielberg and Carlos on Ice Age and J.J. Abrams, and I'm very lucky, I think, as an actor, to get to work with those kind of people.
To be a voice in a animated film, I've heard from other people that it's the easiest gig. You just kind of walk in, you get to wear your shorts. I don't know, like, what was what was your breakdown like?
Well, you do. You just go into the studio and you come in maybe 5-6 times over about a year, do sessions about 5 hours long, getting smaller and smaller. The more stuff they get that they want to keep, the sessions get shorter. And you just go in and you go for it. And it's actually pretty tiring. I mean, you come out at the end after a lot of shouting. The hardest thing to do is effort noise. A lot of the time you've got to do effort noises like jumping and breathing. And you'll come to the end of your script and there'll just be a big long line of grunts, screams, shouts. You save all the shouting for the end, otherwise you lose your voice.
Do you think that prepares you for being a father then when you have the baby and you're like, bah, you're like
yeah, probably. Yeah, in a way, I think that's all about screaming. All the effort noise there is screaming.
Or
yes, yeah.
To kind of create the character, did you play with different voices and stuff? What did you go through?
Carlos and myself went through a whole, sort of evolution for Buck, and he started out as something completely different. He was more sort of well-to-do, more sort of posh English gent kind of character, more like a sort of swashbuckling David Niven style character rather than the sort of earthy Cockney barra boy that he turned out to be. But that's a necessary process you have to go through to get it right,
A lot of times they also, when you're doing the recording, I think do they shoot you? And
yeah, all the time.
Have you seen the film, like, where have they shown you bits where you're like, wait a minute, that's
well, my wife and I watched it this morning, and she said that she could see me in him. They always film you when you're doing your voice record for reference, so that they can, because when I'm doing it, I'm very animated, and because you want to get as much of the physicality into the voice, You can't just stand still and pretend you're riding a pterodactyl. You have to kind of be in it a bit. So, they of course they take that. So it's interesting to see that come into the actual film.
To be in a film like this, are you the cool uncle or the cool, like have your nieces and nephews gone like, oh?
Well, it's finally like something they can watch. You know what I mean? That was one of the reasons I decided to do the movie was because it was something that I felt like the younger members of my family could enjoy. And I'd always been a huge fan of the Ice Age movies, so it felt like the perfect opportunity.
Have you been working in the UK, or have you been traveling? Because I'm assuming that this career that you're it must be really overwhelming because you're a huge star back home, and then now you're trying this Hollywood thing. I mean, has it been an interesting? I don't know. What was kind of your perspective?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you just go where the music takes you. Really, it's not like I didn't decide I wanted to come and crack Hollywood particularly. It's just so happened that the films that I got involved in were being made here, and I'd really like to go as soon as I'm shooting a movie here at the moment, but I'd really like to go back to London after this and maybe make some smaller films back home. Get back into my comfort zone and near, so I can go home at night rather than to a hotel. But yeah, you just go where the wind takes you. It's this odd thing about particularly people who don't live in America. In England, there's always this. In Britain, there's always this thing about, he's gone to Hollywood, he's gonna. But it's just like, well, it's just another place to make films. It's a place where lots of films get made. It's not like somewhere you end up.
Last question then. Are you prepared for an Ice Age 4, and have you developed in your head what kind of extra things that you want to bring to the table?
I'd love to do it. I'd love to meet the other actors in the film first.
Finally.
Yeah, that'd be good. I think it is left open. That's not giving too much away. I mean, it'd be interesting to see how it would work. But yeah, he was such a fun character to be, and I'd love to revisit him.